Okay, Chelsea, 8 years ago, you became interested in sex therapy as part of your couples therapy work. You said, we have very poor sex education in this country in terms of how sex actually works, the difference between men's and women's bodies, the process of sexuality in terms of desire and arousal, and the technicalities of how people actually reach orgasm. And you wrote a book about it, In Search of Aphrodite, Women, Archetypes, and Sex Therapy. In this book, you talk about what?
In Search of Aphrodite is not a technical book. It's a book about sexual identity, and it might include partner preference, but it really is about a woman defining her unique sexual essence. And every woman has a unique sexual essence, and women are often disconnected from that sexual essence. Women are very preoccupied with being the person that their partner wants them to be. And they're very focused on pleasing their partners, and they're not always very focused on really discovering who they are as sensual beings and expressing that in the context of an intimate relationship.
Well said. You use your cast of characters that was in your first book.
Yes.
Which I want to make sure everybody knows. Your first book that we talked about is a workbook. So you need to get the book, and I'll tell you at the end of the show how to get the book, and you can actually do the work yourself.
Yes, and you can learn a great deal about yourself.
Yes. We're all going to do that. When you went through your sexual archetypes to form your sexual essence wheel, which you're going to have to tell us what that means, the one I loved the most was the fairy tale syndrome.
Oh, yes. Women deeply internalize fairy tales. And I have a listing of various fairy tales that women internalize, one of which is the Sleeping Beauty story.
Dang, Disney.
Where we wait to be awakened by someone else. We're waiting to be awakened. And women might wait to be awakened forever. I have many, many women who have come into my practice who have never had an orgasm. And they are partnered, and they don't know how to get there, and their partners don't know how to participate with them in that, and they really don't understand how their bodies work, and they're not in touch with their unique sexual essence.
Is that a mental or physical thing for most women?
It's both.
Because some women just cannot. Very few, but some can't.
Very, very few.
Yeah, very few.
Yeah.
So most of them.
Almost all women are orgasmic.
Yeah,
and but they don't always understand the technology. There's some technical dimensions to it, and then there are psychological issues around orgasm.
Yep.
Sometimes women are afraid women are afraid they might be going crazy.
Wow.
They're just.
What do you mean?
It's the loss of control.
Oh,
yeah.
How about? I love this one, too. This is one of your topics. Porn star versus sexual priestess.
Yes. Particularly in the younger generation nowadays, we have so much sex education by pornography, which I think is very unfortunate because it gives people unrealistic scripts about what sexuality is actually about. It gives people unrealistic scripts about what women actually want and what to expect in terms of normal human sexuality. Most people don't have good porn literacy, meaning they don't understand that these are actors and actresses and the activities are actually taped and cut over, multiple hours, and this is not how normal human sexuality would operate. So women get preoccupied either by the pressure that they feel from their partners or by watching pornography themselves in terms of how they should be behaving. And
so you think they act too much like porn stars?
They feel pressure
to act like a porn star.
Act like porn stars, and this might come from a partner. It might come from internally by comparing themselves to these beautiful bodies that they see. And one of my great objections in the whole field of human sexuality is that we tend to think that the only people having great sex are the young, beautiful ones.
That's the only ones I want to watch. I don't know if that's the only ones having sex. But.
Well, in my experience, some of the best sex is being had by people over 50.
Absolutely.
Yes. And particularly if you're in a caring relationship with where both parties are interested in delving more deeply into the sexual psyche, into each other's psyches, which is what I consider the way that long-term relationships are kept lively and alive, is not necessarily by dressing up in sexy lingerie, but by really going more and more deeply into the intersubjective world.
Well, everybody's busy. I mean, how do you get past I was busy at work, or I was busy with the kids, or I was taking care of my elderly parents? I mean, everybody's got an excuse for why they won't stop and do what you just said. So how do you make time and force yourself to do that?
Well, you have to value it, and you have to understand the tremendous reward that comes from relating to another human being in this way.
What is the reward?
The reward is a depth of meaning and a vibrant connection. And particularly in a long-term relationship, it keeps the relationship ever unfolding, ever alive. And the kind of meaning.
But what happens when you get older and you just can't have sex anymore for physical reasons?
Well, first of all, we are able to have sex to a much later age. People can be actually sexually active into their 90s. Now, there are certain problems that people encounter. Women postmenopausally can have difficulty with lubrication and discomfort, and some of those things can be addressed by a gynecologist. Men can have, most men know nowadays that if they're having problems with erectile difficulty, there are medications for that. I actually like to say that ED is about eros dysfunction, not erectile.
Isn't that cute?
Yes, because we don't have nearly enough valuing of eros in this world of deep, emotional, energetic connections with each other.
Tell our listeners what eros means.
Eros is that
E-R-O-S.
E-R-O-S. It's the root of the word erotic, but it's much more than just a sexual dimension. Having an eros connection to life means that you're connected to the juice of life, that you are connected to things that bring you energy and vibrancy. And when you are sharing from the deeper parts of your personality with another person, and you've actually gotten to the place in a relationship where you can disclose to reveal yourself, and the other person has gotten to a place where they can actually receive and listen to who that person is without becoming scared or defensive, you're in a really amazing relationship.
If you liked this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking on the picture in the center of the screen. For more of Kerry's interviews, click either video on the right of the screen. And as always, thank you for watching.